Good morning, good evening to each one of you, fellow Toastmasters and dear guests. My name is Toastmaster Shihas, and I am your Sergeant at Arms for this one. It is my great pleasure to formally call the meet number 65 for Toastmaster for Professional to a call. There are a few ground rules which I would like each one of us to adhere before we go ahead and have a wonderful meet. The first and foremost is please be on mute if you are not speaking. We highly encourage each one of you to be on camera and spread the smile. And if for any reason you have to move around, please switch off your camera so that the meet is not disturbed. With those basic rules set up, I would now like to invite our club president, Toastmaster Catherine, for her presiding of this speech. Over to you, Toastmaster Catherine.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Shihas. Thank you so much, club leaders, our club officers, Toastmasters, and guests. Will you please give a round of applause to our club officers for the work they do to make us look good? Send them some flowers, let them feel wonderfully appreciated. So thank you so much. You are most welcome to Toastmasters for Professionals. I would like to take a moment to thank our Vice President Education, Dr. Mary Thomas, for inviting a plethora of guests from all around the world. We feel global. We feel the presence of each and every one of you. So thank you so much, guests, panelists, and role takers for choosing to meet with us this morning or this evening. I'm calling in from Malaysia, and it's morning in Malaysia. That's why I keep saying good morning. But I hope it's a great evening to all of you and afternoon for those of you who are from different parts of the world. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I would like to take a moment, if you will, for just 7 minutes to give a very brief call to action for each of you who are visiting us and for you club members. If I can be allowed to share my screen, I'd be very grateful. Mr. Mary, is this possible for me?
GJ?
Yes, give me just 1 second, please.
Thank you.
Okay, I believe you have the permission.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Glamo. And I will just share with you very briefly a small snippet of what we desire for Toastmasters for Professionals this morning. I would like to call you all to attention. This morning, I would like to talk about club roles. Toastmasters for Professionals is running on the strength of club leadership. And some of our club leaders are literally running their feet, their hands, their whole bodies exhausted by carrying our club and making us really look good. So I'd like to commend the club members. But let me just tell you something about our club roles. At Toastmasters for Professionals, our club roles are of different categories. And I'll start up with the most important roles. This morning, you have been invited to the meeting by our Toastmaster Shihas, who is also our Vice President membership, but he's acting as a Sergeant at Arms. We need a full-time Sergeant at Arms who opens this meeting, who gives us the camaraderie required and makes us feel in a safe space by giving us the ground rules and letting us know how we run our meetings. So this is the Sergeant at Arms. He does exactly what you saw Shihas do. We also need a club secretary. A club secretary nowadays is not just one who takes minutes, but one who takes charge of what is happening in the club and takes responsibility for documentation or important information. We also do need a treasurer. A treasurer is the one who ensures that all of us are paid up and our club is in good standing. And also, if we have special events to attend or takes track of the finances of the club. Then we have another category of club members. We have our Vice President Education. And for those of you who know Dr. Mary Thomas, she is the brains behind this club. As she takes her role seriously, she designs and establishes wonderful programs for us to have. But she also ensures that most of us have achieved our milestones in our education paths. But also at the same time, she's responsible for ensuring that when members have completed their milestones, they are able to access their approvals when they have completed their milestones. And so I want to ask also another member of our club called Guillermo, who's our Vice President, Public Relations, to just wave at you. Guillermo, we just want to see your face briefly. I know you were the timer, but it's good that people see your face. Maybe you'll do that at some time. But he is the one responsible for making sure that you can see what our club looks like. You can know what's going on. You can understand how our club is represented. And he also manages our communications as well. We also have a vice president membership, who is Toastmasters Shihas. He enables members who want to join, members who stay, and members who are kept in the club to stay informed, to stay supported. And he opens the door and keeps the door, in the door, club members. So I would like to call you to come up and take on some of these positions. And then the last position that I would like to talk about is the president or presiding officer position. And that's a position that I take. It's a very simple one. It's so simple that all I have to do is to cheer. All I have to do is to run the meetings, but I also represent some of you at most of the district meetings. And so I'm liking to ask, there's also the immediate past president. Of course, presidents are presidents, and so that's what happens when a president goes. I'd like to call you to action. We need you. How do we need you? I'd like you to know that if you belong to the club office roles, you will become part of what we call the EXCO, and you have a meeting that is once a month or once a quarter, and you have to attend at least trainings twice. Toastmasters International provides training. You get experience to lead, you get experience to work with a team, you get experience to network and to grow, and we're calling you for just 6 months only. So this is very, very, very simple. I'm going to ask you to nominate yourself or nominate any member. Our club elections will be happening on the 28th of May, and we would like to call on you. Please, please send any of us DMs or send us messages and say, I'd like to sign up to club roles at Toastmasters for Professionals. So that is my big call to you. And I want to now invite our Toastmaster of the day, none other than Toastmaster Dr. Mary Thomas, the indomitable leader today, to take us through the meeting. Will you please give a round of applause to welcome Dr. Mary Thomas?
Thank you. Thank you, President Catherine. And a big welcome to everyone who's here with us today. We have a great lineup of members as well as guests and panelists as well, because we're having a panel discussion. We have a speaker who's a district finalist from District 7. We have really a great lineup for today. I would start with bringing in the role players. We have the timer today. We do not have the hour counter and the grammarian. That's something that the club doesn't really have because we are already kind of good. We don't count hours at the moment, and our grammar is kind of good. I'm sure you will notice that as the meeting progresses. May I call upon the timer to tell us a timing sequence, because it's a little different today. Timer, Guillermo.
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. Today we have a 5 to 7 minute speech and a 2 to 3 minute evaluation. We also have a panel discussion in which the answers, we want the answers to last for 2 minutes. And I show basically, if I show the green card, you have completed the minimum speaking time. If I show the yellow card, you have little time remaining. And if I show the red card, it means that your time has finished. Thank you, and back to you, Mary.
Thank you, timer. Before I start, I would also like to acknowledge the presence of Division A, Division Director of Division A, Distinguished Toastmaster Helen Josephine, who is with us today. I'm so happy to see you again, Helen.
Thank
The
you.
days the days have passed by, and we're coming to the end of the term. Please give us a little bit about yourself, your time as a division officer. Just share
Yes.
with us.
Yes, thank you, Mary. I wanted to join your meeting tonight to congratulate your club on having a great year and completing many speaking levels, many pathway levels. That means you're dedicated certainly to completing and learning and improving. So congrats all around to all of you. I also enjoyed hearing your representative for the speech contest. She did a great job. Also, Catherine, when we had our Division A speech and area speeches contests earlier in the year. And as we're moving now toward the end of the year for Toastmasters, this coming weekend is the District 101 conference, and the finalists of our speeches, the evaluation speech contest will be on Saturday, and the international speech will be on Sunday. The conference is being held hybrid. So I know you're all from all over the world, but if you can join a hybrid on the weekend to hear some of these great speakers, we would really appreciate your presence. And I want to acknowledge also the hard work all of your officers have done to keep your club moving forward. It seems you might need to add a few more members to reach distinguished status, but you certainly have all of the goals already accomplished for that status if you add the members that are required. So I'm just here to encourage you and to hear this great panel discussion this evening. So thank you, Mary and Catherine, for all your work, and Guillermo for this club. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Division Director Helen. Could you please share with us the link to the conference, and if there's any registration fee, could you please share it in the chat box?
Yes, I'll share that in the chat. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Helen. All right. Now, before we start, I would like everyone to tell us where you're from by just adding your country to your name. I would really like to know how much of representation that we have globally. I see quite a bit from India. I see Philippines. Jayati is from India. Indonesia. Tiger is from Oregon, US. Swati is in the US. Kavita, are you with us? Where are you from? Ram, you're Philippines, so that won't be Ram, it'll be Ram, I guess. All right, great. Let's start. First off, we have a district finalist from District 7. I've been saying that quite a number of times. It's Distinguished Toastmaster Tiger, who's going to share with us his speech. Rather, he's practicing, and I'll just say he's sharing with us his district speech. The speech title is Put Your Heart Into It. And really, it is. You should listen to it. And I would like to have the pleasure of introducing Distinguished Toastmaster Tiger. He currently belongs to 5 clubs. He has belonged to 14 clubs during his career as a Toastmaster for 8 years. Exemplary. He has been a club officer over 20 times in multiple clubs. He has also served as area director and division director. His passion in the last few years is writing and presenting high-level speeches. He has coached multiple Toastmasters to district championships. He's currently competing in the District 7 finals in both International Speech Contest and the Table Topics Contest. We are so honored to have you with us, Distinguished Toastmaster Tiger. Here is your speech. Put your heart into it. Put your heart into it, Distinguished Toastmaster Tiger. The stage is yours.
There I was, 7 years old, playing baseball. And I struck out to end the game. I started to cry inconsolably. My father, who was also my coach, approached me. Tiger, why are you crying? Because I struck out. Well, son, did you put your heart into the game? I guess so. That's all you can do. At 7 years old, I had no idea what putting your heart into something meant. Boy, was I in for an education. He gathered in the troops. Boys, you played your hearts out today. Let's go get some ice cream. That was just like him. He was passionate about people, whether he was coaching or teaching or socializing. He was a natural born storyteller. He could engage an audience better than anyone I've ever met. And he loved to get a laugh. He also had this engaging way of connecting with people one-on-one. As he made intense eye contact, he would just smile and nod. At that moment, you thought you were the most important person in the world. Always seemed to be spreading the message. Do your best. Put your heart into whatever you do. My brother and I took this message to heart. We did our very best to drive our mom crazy. One winter, we're sitting in the bedroom, fighting again. You're stupid. Yeah, well, you're an idiot. In burst my mom. I swear, her red hair was on fire. She was wielding a metal chair. I am sick and tired of you boys fighting. And she slammed the chair into the wall. And it just stuck there, like it was in animated suspension. Was there ever a time in your childhood where you thought your life was over? My father got home that night and he surveyed the crime scene. He just started to laugh. Boy, when your mom gets angry, she really puts her heart into it. Boys, I highly recommend that you do your best to keep your mom happy. The chair stayed in the wall for years as a reminder. My father valued education above everything else. He had a degree in civil engineering and a master's in history from the West Point Academy. He had this magical way of bringing to life historical figures. Alexander the Great, Winston Churchill, Abraham Lincoln, just to name a few. He urged my friends and I to go to university because he wanted us to gain knowledge and become more worldly. Like many of my peers, I took his advice and I did go away to college. About a week or so after I got home, he ushered me into his office, sat me down, and pulled out my transcript. Son, can you explain this? Well, Dad, you know, I had to move from home and my girlfriend left me and my roommates were always forcing me to drink beer. I was selling, he wasn't buying. Tiger, if you're going to earn a college degree, you need to do your best, and you're going to have to put your heart into it. Otherwise, just quit now. Go get yourself a minimum wage job. I didn't quit. However, I did get a minimum wage job that summer, driving an ice cream truck. Ding, 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 yeah, it's the ice cream man. I love that job. Yes, I put my heart into it. The following winter, I lost my father in a tragic car accident. His untimely death knocked me down hard. Fortunately, the funeral was uplifting. The church was packed to the rafters. Person after person, men and women, young and old, went up to that podium to give testimony to how my father had inspired them. I bet you're wondering, what's my testimony? I did get that college degree and several others. I have been playing my heart out for going on 6 decades. I have even learned to get along with my brother. Most of the time. My friends and fellow Toastmasters, I encourage you, follow my father's advice. You know what I'm going to say. Whatever you do in life, do your best, and yes, put your heart into it. Toastmaster.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Tiger. Put our hands together and give him a good applause. The message is clear, even as you're clapping. Put your heart into it. All right. On behalf of the club, I wish you, Tiger, all the best, and may you bring back the win. That was a message that was clear for all, and we all need to hear it actually all the time. Put your heart into it. So let's put our hearts into our next session, which would be the evaluation. But it's going to be a little different today because this is a district speech. We are going to have the audience. We're going to give the audience 1 minute to either private message Tiger or put it in the chat about your feel, your comments, your feedback, the gains and the not the gains about the speech. Remember, he needs feedback, and that feedback can also be a win. So that's 1 minute for all the audience, and after which the evaluator for Tiger, that is Catherine Opondo, she will come forward and give her evaluation based on the judging ballot. Please note, the evaluation will be based on the judging ballot, not on our normal speech evaluation for a project speech. So, audience, your 1 minute starts timer. 1 minute, please. Put it in the chat or private message, either or. Time's up, but looks like there are some messages coming in. Timer, another 30 seconds so that all right. Any more last feedback, last bit of it? Just giving a little bit more time because feedback is valuable, especially it's a contest speech. All right, looks like there's none. We would not, yeah. This one from our timer. All right, so we shall now call upon our evaluator, Toastmaster Catherine Opondo, who would be evaluating based on the judging ballot. Toastmaster Catherine.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mary Thomas. Congratulations, Toastmaster Tiger, on your delivery of a heartwarming speech. Your speech had two major components that I would like to look at: your delivery and your content. Let me start with what I heard and what I enjoyed the most. Your speech had a clear message, was organized. Your speech had a plot. It was an effectively developed speech. Your story was extremely touching. Your speech was humorous. It was also heartfelt. We connected with the moments of loss, with the moments of fear, the moments of frustration and disappointment, and we connected with the moments of learning and retribution that you gained from your father's message. Put your heart into it. I thoroughly laughed out loud several minutes, way after you had finished delivering your speech. I was still laughing. Yet at the same time, I had felt your emotion when you described that your father had tragically been separated from you. So thank you so much for giving us a wonderful speech. Now, here is your delivery according to the international speech requirements. Your speech development, in my capacity, in my view, I would give 100%. The effectiveness of your speech, in my view, I would give 70%, and I will explain why. For a speech with a title that says, put your heart into it, I would have asked a little more for some validation of where you expected putting the heart into it would resonate with some Toastmasters, with your purpose, besides just your father's plot or your responses. When you gave us your actionable results as a result of your father's inspiration, you gave us very minimal time for us to reflect on those tenets of that speech. We wanted to sit in and say, well, yes, what would I suggest, Tiger? I would suggest that you narrow down the areas where you wanted to tell us about your dad, limit them to just 3 or 4, so we have enough time to hear how you moved from that level of providing that kind of leadership that your father inspired you to do when he told you to put your heart into it. My time is running out. Your physical speech, the physical part, I would improve the lighting. I would suggest a closed room and a white background, preferably, for you to deliver your speech, for it to be 100% judged. That's my view. Your voice and vocal variety and connection with the screen and showing us exactly what we expected you to do as an international speaker was 100%. Your manner and enthusiasm was 100%. Your appropriateness and purpose still ties with the effectiveness of purpose. I still say I enjoyed the fact that 3 times you mentioned put your heart into it in various ways that was so effective. I can never forget the title of your speech because of that. So my suggestion to you, and your correctness was 100%, is to focus on 2 main areas: achievement of purpose through effectiveness and your appropriateness in this regard, the purpose of the speech, to give us some credibility, either the credibility from your actionable points from as a result of your father's inspiration, or any statistics or people you feel needed to put their heart into something, so we can relate as Toastmasters or as people, or so any other person can relate. But this is a speech I will never forget. You actually reminded me of my late father. Thank you, Tiger, for allowing us to hear your speech. Over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you. Thank you, Evaluator. Thank you, Evaluator Catherine. I'm sure that was a very, what shall I say, intense, required evaluation. Toastmaster, Distinguished Toastmaster Tiger, do you have any feedback? If you may want to. Okay, if I can see you switching on your audio. Toastmaster Tiger, are you there? Yeah. If you would like to say something.
Oh, do I have any feedback? I have edited this speech 22 times. I wrote it 4 years ago. I couldn't do it until this year. I finally able to do it without emotional trauma, quite frankly. It's been 50 years since my dad died, but it's still, now it feels good. I feel like I'm honoring him as opposed to grieving. I started, the first written edition was about a year ago after last year's contest, and I have made 22 changes. Now, some of the changes have been fairly minor. Some of it's been based on feedback. I have consulted with several people who were on the national stage last year who have given me feedback. So I have made some significant changes. I look back at the original speech from a year ago, there's about 100 words. The only part that survived was the part with my mom slamming the chair in the wall. That's gold. And that's a true story. I'm creative, but I'm not that creative. That's the only part of my speech that survived from the original writing. So this speech has been a work in progress. I've done it, this is about 30 times in front of an audience. So I'm ready to go, and I get to do it live in front of real people. Oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm sorry, guys. I've been on Zoom since 2020 mostly, and I'm sick of it. So I get to do it in front of a real audience. I am so excited. So thank you all for being here, and thank you for your feedback. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Tiger. Thank you. And again, wish you all the best. And we hope to hear that you have won District 7's final ISC contest. For new Toastmasters, this is a sample of how a district contest speech looks like. And this is how an evaluation is done. It is done based on the IS International Speech Contest ballot. This is for the benefit of new members. Thank you very much, everyone. At this point, we are 24 of us today, and that's really a nice number. Zoom Master, could you take a photo of all of us? Could you all come on cam so that we can take this memorable moment? Smile, and GJ, tell us when you're ready.
Give me 1 second, please. Sorry,
Vincent,
1 second,
I
please.
just saw you. Good to see you.
So good to you because you're very cheery and when you've been left there.
Okay, someone's audio is on.
She has, please take the picture yourself. I have some technical difficulties.
Or anyone. Just take the picture and just share it in the... Lisa, good to see you too. Anyone can take a picture and then just share it in the chat box. But she has official.
I took one.
Share it, share it. I think this is a very special moment. We have 24.
Thank you so much for welcoming me. I appreciate being here.
I got the
I was
picture.
invited by Dee Marie, but I really missed this group. I haven't been here in a while. So thank you for having me.
I
Most
took the
welcome.
picture.
Join
Thank you for
anytime.
your patience. I took it.
Is it taken already?
Yes.
Okay, please share it in the chat and also in our members and guests group. I mean, this is a beautiful group. I love this.
You know,
So sorry.
I saw that there's a special feature and chat actually will put a composite together with all of our best photos on it. I'm not exactly sure how they did it, but it was really cool and apparently very easy. There's some kind of an app through chat, through Zoom, that's able to do that composite picture better than we can do it ourselves.
We're all still learning, especially
Yeah,
us baby
exactly.
boomers.
You would
We're
think
all
after
still
4
learning.
years we'd have it, but I think it's a new feature.
Ah, I see. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the panel discussion. That's the main thing for the day. This was our main intention of gathering up together. And what I'm going to say is that a little brief about how this came about. We've been going through change over the last, particularly over the last 4 years since the lockdown, 2020, and now we're in 2024. That's more than 4 years, actually. And most of us are actually trying or were or are trying to cope with that change. So the focus is actually on what happened in different parts of the world in relation to the lockdown. That was my primary intention of bringing in this discussion. But of course, as we discuss, we're going to talk about how each of the panelists managed change in their lives. And that's the part that's going to be the core of our discussion. Now, after that, where this is about 20 minutes when the panelists will be discussing, and then we have another 20 minutes where the audience can also come in and share their views about the change that they have managing. Some people are not even managing the change. They are struggling with change. So that's the part that maybe that's what triggered me as well to get into this discussion. Now, let me just introduce each one of the panel the panel panelists. First of all, we have Alicia. She's joining us from Australia, but she is from South America, Uruguay. And that's the reason why I got Alicia, because we want to know how South Americans manage change. Alicia brings with her 25 years of experience in recruitment and personnel selection as in her role as a HR manager. With a passion for empowering individuals to communicate effectively, Alicia embarked on a journey of self-improvement in 2007. Journey of self-improvement, that's change. Immersing herself in the art of public speaking and honing her skills through running short courses and attending self-development programs. I would like to emphasize here, one of the biggest things that we are always trying to change, and the exact reason why we are here right now, is because we want to change. She was a pivotal figure in establishing Sydney Agora speakers in Australia. Alicia has played a key role in fostering a community dedicated to the art of communication. Outside of her professional endeavors, Alicia finds joy in her role as a mum to a 17-year-old son, River, and 18-year-old daughter, Summer. Joyful names, I should say. Her adventurous spirit leads her to explore the world, savoring the delights of travel and indulging in culinary experiences, celebrating delicious food from diverse cultures. All right, so she's part of us and she's going to share how she managed her change. And she's also going to share with us how she managed, South Americans manage change. Next, we have Dee Marie Shai King. She represents North America. Dee Marie Shai King presents as a lover of mankind, all people, humanist. She's a mental health professional with 25 years experience in MR services, including as a legislative lobbyist for Georgia, USA. We have a legislative person here, the law. Her enthusiasm and professionalism within the discipline of mental health and psychology, propelled by her passion to serve others, resulted in her writing, producing, directing 2 one-act behavior modification modules in the State Mental Health Institute. She has other interests as well in Toastmasters. She's elite triple crown awardee. She's soon going to be a distinguished Toastmaster. But again, let me just add one more. She empowers survivors of domestic violence and other PTSD-related traumas as the executive director of Victory Over Violence, NPO. She's very involved in domestic violence. I'm part of her team as well. And it's a long thing. You're going to hear from her later. Dee Marie is the person. And she's a member of our club. Next, we have Yvette. Yvette is someone I know personally. She's a gem of a person. I knew her through my personal humanitarian work. Let me introduce her. Yvette is a journalist, children's author, blogger, and mother of 3 sons. She is also a carer parent, a mother of a boy with Down syndrome and autism. She's a Toastmaster of 9 years standing and served on the committee multiple times and currently the president of 1 Hour Toastmasters Club in Auckland. Yvette would have a lot to tell us about change as a carer parent. Her story is heartwarming. I have to tell you this. The next one we have is Jayati. Jayati is also prolific. I've got a whole list of the stuff that she has done. She's an owner and operator of a nursing home, and her professional accomplishments, she rehabilitates sex workers. Isn't that something? Isn't that something we really need to do? Rehabilitation of sex workers. When I saw that, I was like, wow, I need to connect with this lady. She's a wow, empowering sex workers. Dee Marie, listen to that one. Jayati has actively contributed to the rehabilitation of sex workers working towards their social integration. Her nursing home employs staff who are children of sex workers, highlighting her commitment to providing opportunities and support for those in need. She also rescues and rehabilitates abuse victims. Jayati has been involved in the rescue and relocation of girls ranging from the age of 4 to 45 who have been victims of abuse. She has partnered with NGOs to ensure these individuals receive the necessary care. She also supports old age homes and orphanages in the sense of providing support for the aged. In Toastmasters achievements, that's another long list, and I've heard how she's become such a prolific speaker. Her mentor, when I first heard it. She's been a Toastmaster since just March 2021. But let me tell you, she's a district finalist as well. But District 78, was it, Jayati? I think, yeah. That's in Kolkata, in north of India. She won second place in District 124. She won second place in District 124 International Speech Contest. And she's a winner of the Humorous Speech Contest at Division. She has continuously been growing in the journey. Let me tell you, Jayati is another. We have empowered women with us today. But of course, we have Peter. Peter is not joining us in real time because he is away, time difference. He's in Ghana. And let me just introduce him. That's another long one. Let me tell you, once you're in Toastmasters, you become someone out of the range of what we see from non-Toastmasters. Now, let me talk about Peter Danko. Peter is a human, of course. As a life enthusiast, he loves to live. He's a lover of learning, a memory athlete, a speed cuber. Oh, you can see that later in the video. And a chess coach. Peter is a polyglot in Spanish, Swedish, Italian, and Portuguese. Peter has served as Sergeant-at-Arms, Secretary and President for Busy Speakers Toastmasters Club, Ghana. He's immediate past area director and the current program's quality director for Division M. Peter is an active blogger at Peter's Box. If you want to know what is in the box, visit, I'll give you the link later. Peter published a documentary on Toastmasters in Ghana. Now, I could go on and on about this, and it looks like, if I go on and on, I may not be able to get the panel discussion running. I have introduced everyone. Did I miss anybody? I don't think so. I've got Yvette. Yep, I've got everyone. Dee Marie, Alicia, Peter, JD. All right. Let's start this before I go on and on about the panel discussion. My first question, the intention, like I said very clearly, is so that we all learn something from panelists, from these panelists. As you know, they are prolific personally and professionally. They definitely have something to teach us. Even us seniors who have gone through much as well, we really have a lot to learn from each of the panelists, and even later from the audience. All right, my first question to you panelists, I will just call randomly, or you can just come forward and just share. My first question to you, remember you have 2 minutes to share on each of the questions. We only have 3 questions. Question number 1, how do you manage change in your country? You're coming from New Zealand, how do you manage that? How do you manage change in your country? Because every country has its own culture. Please come forward. Anybody? Yvette, I can see you have unmuted yourself. Yes, Yvette.
Thank you, Mary, and thank you for inviting me to participate. In New Zealand, we have freedom of speech. We have a culture in which we feel we can step forward and say things. So when the big things happen in life, our people virtually take to the streets. When the COVID, when the pandemic first started, we had a lot of restrictions, and the government tried to bring in mandatory vaccination. And people who were against that marched down to Wellington, and they virtually camped out around the Beehive for over a week. And they made their feelings known. And I myself personally have been involved in protests and in, not against that issue, but on other things to do with when they were trying to bring in genetically modified foods. Everybody took to the streets over that. And we have this wonderful culture here of feeling empowered personally to speak our truth, to be able to say to people what is on our minds. And that is how we respond. I really feel that New Zealand, because of our geography, because we are at the bottom of the world, we have learned to be self-reliant and to make up our own minds about things and have our own thought processes, and have that there is a space out there. You can send your, when people sign petitions, you can send them into government, and we have this feeling here that we can make ourselves heard on the big issues. And when these big changes happen, we are listened to. And we have shifted the needle on all sorts of things purely by the common everyday person feeling empowered to step up and speak. And I feel very proud of that. And I think that it's a real hallmark of the Kiwi culture. here in New Zealand.
Thank you, Yvette. Kiwi culture, yes. All right, that's so unique, isn't it? Yeah, okay, next. Who comes next? Alicia, would you like it? Tell us about South America. What's the culture there?
Certainly. I guess trying to understand this question, it is important to understand culturally where is Uruguay and what is its cultural makeup and more generally their value system. So if you look at South America, it's in the East Coast, in the southern tip of South America. It's nestled between two major countries. So you look at a country like Argentina, which is one of its neighbors, population 45 million, so much diversity. Then you jump to the other neighbor, which is Brazil, with over 213 millions or so. And then you have Uruguay, 3.5 million people. And that is their point of difference. It is a country that is, it's very egalitarian. It's also very much about social harmony. And so the way it deals with change is very much about, it's not enough to say, how does it impact me? But part of that egalitarian value system is very much about, you can tell a lot about a country, how it looks after its less privileged. And so decisions that are made, particularly around those lockdowns and their restrictions with COVID, very much had to do, how is it going to affect my fellow man? And so the fact that it was able to rely on trust more so than on dogma or lockdowns or mandates meant that we had very high compliance and the country did very well. It is in fact the one country in South America that had the least amounts of fatalities, that was actually the role model for how he dealt with the pandemic. But it came down to good communication and also instigating systems that were going to assist those that couldn't help themselves. So whether it was food support, checking in on each other, people that didn't have the physical space to actually be safe in their own homes, just to have that are you okay approach to ensuring that there were mechanisms for providing that welfare check and ensuring that people understood that this was a once in a lifetime, once in 100 years rather, and that is something that had to be done. So it was about care and it wasn't about mandate. Back to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Alicia. Let's fly to Ghana and see what Peter has to say. Guillermo, video, please.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Mary Thomas. It's been a pleasure to be on call with you and share my ideas with you as well. I have a very interesting perspective when it comes to change, because first of all, we have different cultures. And even within Ghana, we have different cultures, or if I should call it different tribes. And therefore, the way we manage change might differ from one person to the other. This also cuts across Africa. So if you go to Nigeria, you might have a different system of management of change over there. However, one thing that amazes me is that when it comes to change, they are mostly influenced by our beliefs. And therefore, you might meet someone who might be very adamant about change, and you might meet someone who is all feisty about change and wants to get to the destination of wherever the change is leading. So I would say, generally speaking, change usually comes a bit difficult for most of us, and this is not just for Africa, everywhere in the world, because it's a human trait. So we resist change initially, but eventually we catch up with change. So that's my view on that.
Thank you. So we heard Africa. Let's come back. Jayati, India. How do Indians manage change? I know. My roots are Indian. I know what you're going to say, but never mind. Let's share it.
Thank you, Mary, for involving me in this prestigious, lovely discussion that we're going through. India, 29 states, 8 union territories. We are just below China in terms of population. Every state you go to, it has different way of life, different habitat, the way you dress, the way you eat, the way you conduct your life, the way you speak. Languages are huge. So over here, I feel growth means change, and change involves risks. That is, you move from the known to the unknown. This is a part where everything comes into play with your thoughts. Actually, it starts from your mind. If you want to grow, if you want to change, you need to change your thoughts. And I am so happy to see nowadays people are so receptive to change for the better. They want something which is very, very nice, honest, and something which is very acceptable to humanity. I feel that, just let me give you an example. During COVID, what happened was I live on the second floor and I have 2 floors down, and I kept it empty for people who just were coming in from other states. They wanted a place to stay for 15 days, that period of
Quarantine.
cleansing yourself from COVID from outside. What happened was there were many sex workers who migrated and they weren't getting a place to live. So my doors were open, they came in. It so happened that a mob broke out and 2 young boys, they were desperately searching for shelter. These women, they opened their doors and they opened their hearts for them. They said, you come in here. It was very shocking. The boys came in and they stayed for some time. It all cooled down, then they left. But later, their families, they came back to me and they said, why did you allow this? Why did you allow these people to stay over here? I said, do you know what you're saying? Before anything else, these people were the ones who saved your son. Because they thought that me giving them the kind of permission to stay at my place was giving them permission to be involved in society. It was very difficult for me to make them understand that this is not what you are thinking as. This is what you need to change in your mind. Your thoughts need to be changed. Some of them did understand, but then the rest, you know how it is. But I do continue. And it's a lovely feeling to see these people progressing in their lives. Change is inevitable and it will come. It's better that we accept it. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jayati. Yeah, India is rooted in certain aspects of culture. I know that. Even though I come from south of India, but and I'm not actually born there, but I know, they're so rooted. It's so difficult to make that change. I do completely understand that. Let's hear from North America, Dimery. How do Americans manage change?
This is absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I had been attempting to come up with a presentation until you threw COVID in the midst of how do you manage change. And of course, that changed everything. But in the United States, we have these 50 states that have anything that you want the eye to see, from the Grand Canyon to Yellowstone National Park to, oh my goodness, there are just so many phenomenal sights to be seen in this country. We have a population of over 300 million people, and we are governed and managed through a system of government that allows us to cast a vote and voice our opinion as to how we think we should move forward. But let me throw in COVID. Being someone in the mental health arena, COVID did something that nothing else could have done. During the time of COVID, everyone at some point became so afraid they didn't know what to do. The lockdown caused an increase in calls for domestic violence and mental health assistance because it was unbelievable but it also did something else. It allowed corporate America to find out that there's another way that we can manage corporate entities. The work from home, the distance learning came into play. There were so many things that were learned as to how we manage change. We had to adopt, we had to adjust, and we did. We came up with two different names of workforce employees at the time. The essential workers, who were the marginalized hourly paid employees that went out no matter what. They were still out at 3 a.m. in the morning collecting the trash, driving the buses. They had a higher incidence of COVID. But then we had the frontline workers, who were health workers, who were there no matter what to take care of the patients. There were signs all over everywhere saying, we appreciate these people. So light was shed on a whole group of people that we never really gave the focus that they deserved. And I sensed that they had gained a sense of pride in themselves and their work. And it carried over after COVID even, because corporate America is still finding their way back to get the employees back into the workplace. And now that the employees know, hey, I can work from home, I may not go back into the workplace. So it gave us something to look at. Managing change is truly something. But I will be focusing on domestic violence because that took on a different kind of tenure during this whole incident. And I'll talk about that as we go on. Thank you so much.
Thank you, DeMarie. Actually, the world was following the United States. Everything that they were doing, it was implemented in all the other countries. So what you said is exactly on point. Work from home, all of that just came. I mean, it was just, America was leading, leading the scene. Thank you so much. We'll come to our second question. And of course, we have our last question coming up as well. We only have 3 questions. The second one would be very, very pertinent. How do you personally manage change? Question. How do you personally manage change? Let's start with America.
Oh my goodness. That for me is an automatic answer. As a psychiatric registered nurse, when COVID hit, I said, oops, I'm out of here. Y'all have this. I will find something else to do. It was at that point that I became a member of Toastmasters International in 2022. And the trajectory of my life was changed at that point. My platform became domestic violence. And by being able to go on virtual speaking tours, I spoke in 10 different foreign countries in the first 3 months of 2023 because of being able to do a Zoom and a virtual presentation. I decided to become a distinguished Toastmaster. I was able to design and implement an international summit on domestic violence, all because of the fact that I decided to become involved in Toastmasters. I needed a DTM project, and that's what it was. And that became my first annual summit. I will be doing the second annual summit in October of this year. So I took advantage of what was in front of me and made it work for me. I fell in love with Toastmasters, with Pathways, and the rest is history. I had published a romance novel that ended up being my backdrop for domestic violence because the book was set against a domestic violence situation. And so all of that fell into place. I had an opportunity to look inside myself and find out what it was that I really wanted. I now have a nonprofit. All of that happened because of Toastmasters, COVID, and a pivot that I had to make. And that's how I decided to manage change. It has been a journey and an experience that I can't even explain, except that I'm grateful, I'm humbled, and that's why I'm here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I think as Toastmasters, we are quite adaptable to change. I may be biased, but I think we are a bit more non-resistant to change because every time we come for a meeting, we're actually changing. All right, let's hear from Peter if our Zoom master is ready. Let's hear how he manages change. Are you ready or shall we? Oh, okay, great.
Okay. Change sometimes can look scary, but personally, over the years, I've realized that change is needed to improve myself. It's the very thing we do in Toastmasters. You come into Toastmasters because you want to change, you want to improve. So having been in Toastmasters for a while, change has become something that I always look forward to. I'm excited to meet change because you never know where it's going to take you. And I would talk about when we went virtual during the pandemic. You know, Toastmasters had to move from the physical setting and go to the online setting. It was really a difficult moment because the prepared speeches that were done in person had a different feel to what we were now experiencing online. However, we noticed that, and I noticed that it had come to stay. That was a virtual meeting. So I had to learn how to adapt. And the interesting thing is that at that time, I was a club executive, and therefore I had to ensure that the meeting setting and logistics would be able to accommodate a successful online meeting. So during that period, I learned how to set up a Zoom link. I learned how to manage a virtual audience, and it was quite interesting. And it enabled me transfer this over to my work life, because when I got back to work in the physical setting, there were instances where we still had to have virtual meetings. And my boss at that time would always tell me that I want you to handle this virtual meeting. That was because he knew that I was a Toastmaster and he had actually visited my club before. And when he saw everything, he was quite impressed and said that I wish I had this opportunity when I was growing up. So change, personally, I've come to realize that it gives you an opportunity to improve. That is, if you move with it. As you rightly said, change is the only constant thing. And therefore, if change is constant and we are constant about resisting change, then we are not going to see any change. So personally, I have learned to accept change with a bit of excitement because it gives you the opportunity to learn and grow. Yes, that's what I'll say.
That's Peter. I like that, where he says that, yeah, it's true. We really, really have to move forward, and that can only happen with change. All right, let's hear from New Zealand. Yvette, how do you personally manage change? You shared with us about your children, and that would have been a major change in your life. Tell us, please.
Yes, absolutely. Well, my middle son, who has Down syndrome and autism, he was born in 2002. And the thing with change is it's unexpected. Usually it just hits you out of the blue and you're not prepared. My husband and I were expecting a normal child. And when he was born, we were presented with, he is not normal. And the information that they had at the center we were at told us all these horrible things, like their mental deficiency and their shortened life expectancy and all these things. And we went from what should have been this triumph to absolute devastation. I had never met anybody with special needs until that point in my life, and all I knew what to expect was what this pamphlet told me. And I literally grieved for 6 months for the child I thought I was going to have. And instead I had this unknown. And I went into, after the grief, it was like a holding pattern where I just was numb in a type of limbo. And now, years later, it took me a few years for it really to sink in what a blessing this child was. I will, if I could go back and turn back time, I would have him again, because of how much he has taught me about tolerance, patience, inclusivity, and everybody has worth. And he brought me to that humble place. And therefore, he has become my master, my guru. I call him the guru on the couch, because he has a space on the couch where he likes to be and where he just holds court. Now, at the stage that I'm at now, because I am now 9 years standing with Toastmasters, I have learned to accept, just like all the other panelists and people have said, When you're in Toastmasters, you get these evaluations and your initial reaction is to react, have this big, and then you learn through getting those evaluations regularly. You learn, I don't need to have a reaction. Actually, if I just stand back for a minute and control my mind and stay calm and peaceful, I will get so much benefit from this. So my son and Toastmasters have taught me the most valuable lesson in life, how to stay calm in the face of change, which is obviously a continuum. Back to you, Mary.
Thank you, Yvette. I'm at a loss of words of how to describe what you've just said, because I can only feel in my heart what you would have gone through. There are no words to say it, really. I may think of something later. Let's go back to Uruguay and India. Which of you would like to come forward? How do you personally manage change? One of you. Go ahead. Okay, Alicia.
Thank you, Mary, and hats off to Yvette. I think she captured that so beautifully. And I guess linking that to my personal view is that I think change is inevitable. Change is what drives everything. That's what drives progress. And the approach is to be highly inquisitive. If you approach any situation with what works and what can be done better, then you'd be amazed. That is why we get new hobbies, why we go traveling, how we discover new medicines and cures. And so I think that there is a little bit of a fallacy in the narrative that we're fed, that people are creatures of habits, that they don't like change. I think that is totally untrue. Inherently, from the moment that we're born, when you look at the lifespan development, it is all about change and celebrating the change. Look at when you see a newborn baby and then they learn to do a little something and then they do more. We celebrate birthdays, we acknowledge anniversaries, even commemorating events that happen is because we understand that things change, that we learn from past experience, but that we can adapt and we can thrive. And so I don't think that the idea is to fear, I don't think people necessarily have a fear of change. And so if we can unpack it, what is behind that fear? A lot of the time it comes down to effective communication and that desire to be seen. And so affirmation is a long way to actually dealing with why is it that someone is sitting in a little bit of distress. On a more humorous note, I am from South America and we're very casual. Everything will happen later. We say mañana to everything. I am married to a German. It is very, everything has to be organized and systemized. And when we first met, he would say, what is the plan? What are we doing today? The plan will evolve. When the student's ready, the master will appear. And I distinctively remember one time being out and we were having such a nice time. I thought, a breakfast turned into a lunch. And then said, what would be really nice if we go to the theater? And then he said, but we're not dressed. We live in a first world country. There are shops. So it was almost like a Superman phone booth. We went into the shops, got a full outfit from shoes, a cardigan. And next thing we know, that night we were watching The Sound of Music live on stage and it was just wonderful. So I think it's just embracing the fact that we are always in a constant state of change. We hold ourselves back by telling ourselves that we are afraid, that we like a comfort zone, when in fact, our inherent makeup is to always be on the move and striving for what is next. Back to you, Mary.
Thank you. That's so true. Yeah, life will become quite mundane if we're just stuck in our comfort zones. Very true. Totally agree. And I like that take on how different Germans are vis-a-vis South Americans. Yeah. All right, Jayati, tell us about how you personally manage change.
Well, for me, change started when I was in the 10th grade. My mom told me, okay, it's time for you to learn the chores. I said, what for? She said, are you going to depend on everyone to keep your environment clean? I said, fair enough. All right, I had learned the chores. 2 years later, learn how to cook. Why? Are you always going to depend on me? Suppose I fall sick. Suppose the cook doesn't come. Fair enough, I learned to cook. Again, after a few years, time to get married. I said, no. She said, why? It's because I don't want to. Because what happened was, we come from a very conservative family where the girls are married off very early. And I come from my family had a very, very humble background. So it was always, it's in India. You get the girls married off, them married off. It's like you've taken in something, swallowed it, and digested it. It's something like that. I said, no, I'm not going to get married. So that was a change in my thought process also, because all my other sisters were getting married or in the process of getting a good alliance and getting married and all of that. That was the time I started resisting change. Change, what I thought for me was good enough for me to do something in my life, to not to prove to anybody anything, just to prove to myself that I can do something. I am here not just to clean or, okay, that is something I do respect, but I wasn't confined in that boundary. Much later, when I started running the nursing home, tremendous changes came around. First of all, they wouldn't accept a woman at the helm of things. That came down to something which, to respect, it is now on that level of respect now. So for me, change is something which I always challenged. And it always gave me very good returns. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jayati. All right, we're coming to the last question. And you have 1 minute, panelists, to tell us. Timer, please time 1 minute. The final question, give us a takeaway about managing change. Give us, the audience, a takeaway, a call to action about managing change. 1 minute. USA.
My estimation of change is like the flowing of a river. The salmon, in my opinion, have a difficult time because they swim upstream. They're going against the forces. If we flow with the stream, if we go with the flow, it makes it all so much simpler. My trajectory has been changed because of Toastmasters. I have a platform, which is domestic violence. Victory over violence will take me where I want to go with that, because I am determined that we will help the victims and survivors of domestic violence to understand that there is life after domestic violence. And once I can get that understanding afoot, then that's going to give us a greater footprint and impact with victory over violence. And that is my goal. This has been phenomenal. Thank you so much for being here tonight, all of you. I've loved it.
Thank you. So Deep Marie says, go with the flow. Let's hear from Jayati, India. 1 minute.
Well, yeah, the only way to make sense out of change is you go with it, you move with it, you flow with it, and you dance with it. I think that is what the most important. You be comfortable with it and accept it as and when it arrives and as and when it comes to you. My work with all these people, all these mostly women, has led me to beautiful places. And in Toastmasters, in the beginning, I thought when people came in late, I thought, oh my God, how can they come in late? If they stuttered or stammered, I thought they're committing a sin. But in time, I learned to empathize. I learned patience. And I learned how to encourage even when there is a mistake. Most of the time, I accepted that myself, and then I moved. That is the one thing I really, really learned in Toastmasters. I'm so thankful for it. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Thank you. Jayati's take on it is also go with the flow and embrace the change. Thank you, Jayati. Let's go to South America. Alicia, what's the call to action
you,
for all of
Mary.
us?
For me, it comes down to being solutions focused rather than problem focused. And that can drive so much of the journey in terms of embracing and adapting to change. When my children were very little, I used to always say that to them. I don't want to hear the problem, tell me the solutions. It just shifts your mind. So instead of saying, I'm hungry, it's, can I have a biscuit or can I have a banana? And I did the same thing at work, and it is just about hand in hand with being solutions focused is being grateful for what you already have. And so whether you keep a gratitude journal or you actually get some perspective, this is what we do have, then you can just take, it may not be the final solution, it may not be the ultimate solution, it may not be the complete solution, but always thinking, what is the solution here? What's the solution? Actually shifts your mind into always seeing possibilities and opportunities rather than getting stuck in the, oh, we have to wear a mask now, oh, we have to do. And so my suggestion to everybody would be to really crave that solution focus.
Yes, brilliant. That's correct. Rather than being a problem, be a solution provider. Yes, that's very correct. Yes, totally agree with that one. I totally agree with all of that. Go with the flow, embrace change, be solution oriented. Yes, I totally accept that because I follow that as well. New Zealand, tell us, what's your takeaway?
Thank you. When we experience change, we can trigger into a negative mind talk. And that is, somebody else mentioned here that the mental attitude is key. What I find with any time I am having to embrace a major change in my life and something big is happening, I really carefully take notice of my thought processes around it. It's the difference between saying to yourself, why is this happening to me? To saying, why is this happening for me? You stay out of those negative, all the negative thinking. And every time that negative thought process comes in, you go, no. You stay and you wait until you can see and experience and feel how this is happening for you. And it will come. My grandmother used to say, she was very fond of saying, always look for the silver lining and you will find it. And I've practiced that in my life to the utmost that I can. And at the stage I'm at now, I know it's all about the mental, and I protect my optimism and my hope with everything I've got. And that's what I encourage other people to do too. Protect your optimism and your radiance. It's really important to how you interact and react to everything that happens in your life. Back to you, Mary.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I felt the answer was quite divine, if you ask me. Yeah, it's very true. Protect yourself and see it as a blessing. Lastly, but let's hear from Ghana. We're done, and audience, be prepared that if you have anything to share.
Change. Thank you. I think in managing change, you would have to weigh the options of not embracing the change. Most of the times, change looks very daunting. It looks like something that is challenging. But once you're able to get over that first step of giving it a try, so the key word here is giving it a try. It doesn't mean you're going to succeed, but it simply means you are giving yourself the opportunity to be able to explore the possibilities that are available. If I didn't give myself that chance to learn something new, I don't think I would have been able to solve the Rubik's Cube. But now I know that with change, if you give yourself the opportunity, because the mindset that I had at that time was that nobody can ever solve this. And a lot of people share that idea as well, that, oh, this thing is unsolvable. But when I gave myself that opportunity to learn about something, it was a new process of change, because the idea in my head is, this cannot be solved, but here are my thinking about giving myself the opportunity to change. When I did that, I surprised myself with this. And it's the same thing with us as Toastmasters. And I think with us, if Toastmasters, we even have a bigger responsibility because we come from a point of zero and we go to a point of hero in terms of our communication skills and our leadership skills. And therefore, we have a greater responsibility to ensure that change is possible. And you might bear witness with me that you might have seen some Toastmasters who came to Toastmasters literally not having nothing good to write home about, but they end up at a different place that amazes everyone. So I think in managing change, the first thing we should do is to give it a try. And in giving it a try, we shouldn't beat up ourselves because it is this same COVID that taught us how to come back together as a society, how to adapt and how to improve. And our species have come this far because of that trait that we have, that we are able to learn through change. Those who were not able to learn through change, unfortunately, are no more with us. But those who applied themselves and saw themselves through the change are here to speak about the future. So that would be my words of encouragement, that give change a try. Just give it a try. Thank you.
Everybody got it? Just give it a try. We have 5 nuggets of wisdom from our 5 panelists. And I believe, even if it may have been intense, it was quite intense for me, we will go back and we will be processing whatever we have heard, whatever that has been said. It will, the whole day, I think we're just going to be processing it. I'm going to do that. So now let's quickly have a rundown with the audience. 1 minute, anyone who wants to share their take on managing change. 1 minute. I wish I could have given you more time, but we are running a little behind. So 1 minute, please share. Thank you, Yvette. Thank you for being with us. Thank you. It's so nice to talk to you again.
It was wonderful to talk to you. Thank you so much, Mary. Thank you, everybody.
It was great meeting you.
Thank you so much. My special needs son has come home and he's requesting food. So he's yeah. So I'll go and attend to him. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time with us. Yeah. All right, audience, anyone? 1 minute timer. Okay, great. Tell us more about, from the Philippines, perhaps, or even your personal. How do I pronounce your name? Is it Ram or Ram?
Yes,
Ram. Okay, right.
Thank you for this opportunity. For me, to manage the personal change first, take little by little to step up on things that you're not comfortable or to move out your comfort zone. Second, face your fear. And third, and last, focus on your self-improvement. Focus on things that you can control, because I believe that law of attraction will open up for us for the new opportunity when we change ourselves. Let me give you a personal story. Before, when I joined in local company, in IT local company, I'm afraid to speak with a foreign customer. I'm afraid to talk with our customer because my job that time is sales, and this is my first time to be a salesperson. When I joined in Toastmaster helped me to have build my confidence, to talk with people, to speak up, to practice. And now I can't imagine that I speak with you, the foreigners that I'm afraid last time. Thank you. I hope I give you thank you for this opportunity. Back to you, to Toastmaster Mary.
Thank you. Thank you, Ram. All right. Anyone else? 1 minute. Share with us. Yes, please. Go ahead.
I would say like my simple funda is like when you have a software like phone, you get the update, which is a change. What does your phone notification says? Like it's going to take some time. Your phone is going to get turned off for 45 minutes or so. So my way of handling this change is like when I go through some big change, I would let my husband know, people around me know that there's something happening. I think I need my time to understand that, to get comfortable with it. Please don't bug me in other things. So that's the way I handle. But having said this, we can't control change. Change is really inevitable. But things like having my toothbrush in an angle or keeping my vessel in the way I like, I don't know. I can't accept the changes in those things. That's weird. Yeah, thank you.
I hope you have learned from our panelists, experienced panelists, and you could implement some of those and bring that change positively into your life.
Absolutely.
Shanda, let's hear from you.
Hello, everyone. What I do is kind of a series of things. So the first thing I do is I ask myself, what story am I telling myself? And what is actually true about that story that I'm telling myself in my head? The next I tell myself, what can I control? And then I focus on what I can control and let go of those things that I can't control. And then I come up with a plan as to what are the next steps forward. I also will look at what exactly is it that I'm afraid of. And I keep asking myself, why? Every time I ask a question, why? And I get to the deep root of why I'm afraid. And I come up with a plan. If that worst case scenario happens, I have a plan. And most of us, that's all fear is. We're afraid of something that probably won't even really happen, but it's causing this friction. And so I already have a plan for the worst case scenario. So I'm just going to go for it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Rajat, let's hear from you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mary. So I personally have gone through a lot of changes and listened to your great advices. So if I summarize how I dealt with changes, so I agree with the Toastmaster Jyoti. Like every success or every growth is preceded by a major change. But between this change and growth, I always find a step that is the learning step where we actually have to act to reach from that change state to growth state. And here I find that we find three stages. Like we first fearful of changes, we compare ourselves with others, like because some people are already expert in that skills and we try to fear. Then we learn basic and then we become expert. And as we become expert, we add one to our already one. And as we grow, we attract another change. So it's a cycle of growth that from change we bring growth, and from growth we attract new changes. But my learning is simple that I'm also practicing is to start living in present, not dwelling in past and fearful about the future. Just start to living in present and don't put myself into the comparison zone, like comparing myself with others, just improving myself only. That is my take on the change. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rajat. Cycle of growth. Yes, that's true. You grow and then you change and then you grow. It just goes around. Yeah, that's true. It's a cycle of growth. All right, great. Anyone else would like to share before we close the session? Anyone else has anything else to share with us? All right, I don't see anyone. So let me take this opportunity to thank all of you, the panelists particularly. Thank you, Lisa. 1 minute. I can see you. Your hand is raised. Yes, 1 minute on your
Yes.
takeoff.
Oops. Good evening, everyone. This has been a fabulous panel. I'm so glad I got invited. So I'll begin my 1 minute. I embraced it as a period of experiencing really fabulous new things. I had a job that was completely new as a kidney coach. I had started a Toastmasters group for the kidney community. We started in 22 after I had been working for a while with the National Kidney Registry. I found so many things that were online, a lot of different musicians that were online, and Clubhouse that was online. And there were just so many new possibilities that I just found that I was embracing them. I got very involved with a group called Common Ground on the Hill and used to meet with them frequently. I spent 4 summers volunteering to help with running classes. I started having a writing coach, and so many online groups were taking place that I think would not have taken place had it not been for COVID. And right before COVID, I had already been in lockdown because I had gotten my new kidney and I was not feeling well. So for me, it was an opportunity of having so many things that I could have to grow. Artists Standing Strong Together, which is a professional storytelling group, started during this period as well, and we're still going strong. So for me, it was just, it was actually a gift, because not only was I now in isolation, but I was in isolation while everyone else was in isolation and connecting so much more online. I got involved politically, and I just kept embracing things that I could do from my bed or from the couch, from inside my home. And for me, it was almost a positive. So that I just wanted to share that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Anyone else would like to share before I close this? All right. So looks like we're all good. It dragged a little bit, but I think we go back with lessons to learn. I'm now calling on President Catherine to close the meeting.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Mary, Dr. Mary Thomas. Thank you for a beautiful meeting. Toastmasters and guests, can we give a round of applause to Dr. Mary Thomas, our panelist moderator, and our panelists for giving us such masterminds. Thank you so much, Peter. Thank you so much, Marie Shai King. Thank you so much, Jayati, Yvette, and Alicia, for that wonderful expose of what change really means. It is my first time to hear about the Kiwi culture. It is my first time to actually understand that change is the only constant. And if we don't do anything about it, then it's gonna do us good. It's gonna work on us. And also that change is for the whole human race. So I'm so grateful that right now I'm driving my car and taking it for repair as I'm attending a Toastmasters meeting. So what a privilege that we get to become resilient and no excuse types of Toastmaster leaders. Thank you so much, our panelists. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Mary. A big shout out to Tiger. And I hope that Tiger does well in his speech as he represents us at the district level. I look forward to a wonderful weekend because of Toastmasters for Professionals. So to you, our members, I'm asking you, please step up, nominate yourselves, call on yourselves, or nominate somebody else to be a club leader. We look forward to our club elections next week. Over to you, and everybody have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.